What up, boys? Welcome back to the 404 Fear Not Found podcast. We got me, Chase, and Elijah back with you this week. We got a special guest as well this week. We got big old Garrett Reed. This is one of our buddies from college. I've known Garrett for a long time. He's a fucking great dude. I'm excited to have him here with us. Garrett, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, what's going on, everyone? I'm Garrett. Happy to be on here. Happy to be a part of what they got going on here. I say, it's incredible movement they got going on, and just happy to be a small part of it. Live here in Akron, Ohio, and just happy to be here, like I said. So, without further ado.
Hell yeah. Like, Garrett was one of those guys in college that helped me get on my gym journey. Like, just seeing him come in, and then he's like, this massive guy, and I'm like, I gotta get my body like that. So he's just killer, and I'm just happy because I made great progress on my gym journey so far.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
My boy G Reed, man, a Bo. Let's go.
Let's go.
My first impression of Big Garrett Reed was literally that. I'm like, bro, they got an NFL player playing on their flag football team. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I watched him crack skulls with some dude and fucking put him in the hospital.
God damn, that was crazy.
And this was just flag football, y'all. This was just flag football, not regular, just flag.
Crazy shit, man. Crazy shit.
Literally, but this is the type of dude, man, he could bench press a fucking refrigerator, but he might still get into a philosophical argument with your grandma. You know what I mean? Like, you never really know because he's bringing all the energy.
Bringing all the energy.
Let's go, man. Hey, speaking of the gym, Garrett, I had a quick question for you, man. What's the current split you got going on right now?
Yeah, so current split. So Mondays, I always like to start the week off with just a kind of a challenge. It just kind of builds that momentum for me. So I always do leg day first. I think me, along with most people, would kind of agree that leg day is kind of the worst day.
Yeah.
So I'll typically do Mondays. I've been getting up early in the mornings, going before work, just because it's part of that routine, just building that momentum going into the workday. I'll do some heavy squats, just some, compound movements, some accessory lifts. That's my Monday. Tuesdays, I'll usually do chest. Wednesdays, I'll do back. Thursdays, shoulder, arms. And then Friday is kind of like a cardio and core day. And then typically weekends I'm off, but just kind of varies. So that's what we're looking at right now.
Okay.
Monday leg day is diabolical, all right? It's fucked up.
Hey, it's a mental thing for me, man. Like, I just don't want that like lingering over me, like while I go throughout my week. I just want to get it over with, get it done. So
I'm a Tuesday legs type of fella, you know what I mean? No, I don't want to push it off, but I ain't doing it day one.
Fair. I get it though. I get it.
Bro, I feel like Tuesday is the weirdest. It's way weirder than a Monday to do legs.
No, dude, Monday you get pumped up for chest, all right? Then Tuesday you get legs done, and then Wednesday you get pumped up for back, and then the rest of the week you just, who doesn't love arms?
That's the thing though, because everybody does chest on Monday, so like the benches are always just slammed. So I'm like, all right, I'll just take the squat rack, get it done.
Facts. You got any different changes to your diet plan going on that you have seen working really good for yourself?
Yeah, so in the mornings, recently I've just started doing this is I'll really try to prioritize protein first thing in the morning. So I've been doing like overnight oats with some whole milk, and then I'll usually do like a Greek yogurt of some sort, like a yogurt, like one of those Chobani shakes, like 60 grams of protein right off rip. It just kind of keeps you full in the morning, gives you that energy boost that you need, and it just gives you that good protein intake right off the rip. So that's kind of been working for me, but other than that, just eating lunch, big dinner, and then just kind of snacking throughout the day, snacking late at night, just trying to get calories and protein in. So that's about it.
You on a bulk?
How do you feel?
I'm on like a perma bulk, dude. I'm always I don't think I've cut once in my life.
And you still got abs, you lucky bastard.
I don't think I've cut once in my life.
Dude, if I don't watch what I eat.
I have started cardio. That was kind of a rude awakening. Yeah.
How do you feel about people that eat one meal a day, like me?
Got to get more in you, man. It's not. You got to eat more because it's not just like especially if you're on a diet plan, you're trying to gain weight. Obviously you got to eat more food, but you just got to give your body the nutrients it needs. One meal a day isn't going to cut it. And giving your body the proper nutrients, it's going to translate, to everything. Better sleep, better mood, better recovery, better focus. It translates to everything. So yeah, I think you gotta eat a little bit more. In my opinion.
A little more. Okay.
Eat a little more.
how do I find out what I need to eat for my body type?
So it just kind of depends on your goal. I mean, if you're trying to, bulk, then obviously you got to be in a calorie surplus. And if you're trying to cut, you got to be in a calorie deficit. And you
Mm-hmm.
can figure that out. Literally, just go on a website. You can like calculate your maintenance calories. So you plug in your height, your weight, your activity level, your age, your gender, and it'll spit out like a number. And that number is like your maintenance calories. So that basically says, hey, if I were to sit in bed all day, this is the amount of calories my body burns just by its functions, right? Breathing,
Yeah.
just its overall body functions. If you eat above that, you're going to gain weight. You eat below that, you're going to lose weight. It's just thermogenics. That's what I would do. I would see what your calorie maintenance is and then kind of go from there. But
Okay.
that's what I did. Yeah.
Garrett, you ever look into intermittent fasting? That's something I used to do a lot, like when I was trying to cut weight for wrestling. And then recently, for summer coming up, because I'm not like you and I can't eat whatever I want. I've been
Right.
I've been fasting, trying to slim down a little bit. But like what I'll do is I won't eat after 8 o'clock at night, and then I
Mm-hmm.
won't eat again until 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I do that at least 4 days a week. I
Yeah.
see benefits with me, but it's also because I'm a late night snacker. I'll rip
Right.
food late at night. But I think it helps out a lot because it kind of puts your body in that fasted state where it burns a lot of calories from
Right.
12 to 8, and then you don't eat for those remaining 16 hours. But you still got to like get it all in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I know there's a ton of research that supports intermittent fasting and the benefits. I'm fully aware of it. I haven't done it myself. I've had some buddies that said, hey, I love doing it. And they noticed the results pretty quickly. But it's not something I've done. I may, kind of branch out and do it in the future. But right now I haven't tried it, but I am definitely aware of its benefits. So, definitely probably end up trying it in the future.
I'm glad that you guys both brought up both of your what you guys have got going because I'm kind of somewhere in the middle where Hunter, I find myself intermittent fasting like every single day on accident,
Mm-hmm.
and like bro, I wake up, I'm not hungry right away, and then I start getting to doing my work, and it's like I'm not doing any type of physical labor anymore, and I feel like that used to build my appetite. You're going out to
Yeah.
work and
Yep.
you're hungry just from working. Now
Right.
I'm more doing computer work, so like I just sit at the computer and forget to eat. And so I find myself eating a late lunch every day. So like 2 or 3 o'clock is the first time I usually eat. And then I eat a late dinner too on top of that. So a lot of my buddies that are into fitness and, are, on great fitness journeys right now, they've told me what you said, Garrett. Like you really do need to do the opposite sometimes of intermittent fasting to lose weight. Like you have to eat actually more food because it keeps your metabolism rolling. Like
Right.
my metabolism's so slowed down right now because I don't eat in the morning. But then you go back to Hunter's point and it's like, I thought I'm intermittent fasting. So it's like, how do you
Yeah.
know? That's where my balance is. It's like I've been focused on. I feel like I need to eat more because the intermittent fasting isn't fully doing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on your body type too, and also like the
Yeah.
personality. Like
Right.
I do it mainly because like I have to tell myself not to eat at night, dude. Like I'm the type of person to crush a box of fucking Cheez-Its at 12 o'clock at night, and then lay in bed and be like, "No, my belly,"
Yeah.
So it's bad.
I got a good question for you three. So as we're all getting ready to embark on all these journeys, career wise and just life wise, how important is it to be fit in real life and when you get older and to keep fitness a part of your lifestyle?
I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like
I
our
mean, I
body's
think
aging all the time. You know what I'm saying? So being able to, keep your body moving at all times, because as soon as you get older and you start moving those body parts, they start to get stiff a little bit. So the best thing to do is just to keep, do a little something every once in a while if you don't have the capacity to work out.
Go ahead, G.
Yeah, no, just kind of piggybacking off of that. I mean, I think it is for me personally. I think fitness is the root of quality of life and everything that I do. You ever hear the saying, health is wealth? I think that is absolutely true. You can have all the money in the world, you can be, grounded spiritually, close with God, but it kind of all goes out the window if your health isn't there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think personally, it's important to me because it translates into every other aspect of my life. Helps me focus at work. It helps me stay healthy. Obviously, just it branches into every aspect of my life. And so, for me personally, that's why I keep it, as kind of the forefront in how I approach things on a day-to-day basis.
I
Yeah.
I'd like to point out a quote that Garrett literally told me last week when I saw him. He said he would never regret spending money on adventures or fitness. And that's so true. I think old people always say, like, oh, I wish I was young like you. But, like, part of being young is being in, like, a young, healthy body that moves. And that's, like, attainable if you keep up with it. So I think as you age, if you keep up with your health, you'll feel younger, happier, healthier, more energetic, and it'll give you a long lasting life. I'd rather, be able to move at 60 and spend less time now than be fucking bedridden.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree with you, Garrett. I think it goes along with everything else in life. I think if you're not, dedicated enough to get yourself in shape or able to at least be able to put in the work, you might not, you could be a work in progress. People don't realize that some people don't want to go to the gym because they feel like people are going to judge them. They feel like they're not in good enough shape to go to the gym, but that's so, counterintuitive because you go to the gym to get in shape. But people have that stigma to where it's like everybody in the gym, that's part of their lifestyle and they've been doing it. It's like if you see Garrett in the gym, people are gonna look at Garrett and be like, damn, I'm not going hard enough. Like I can't, I'm not doing shit for real. And so you got to do it at your own pace, but make sure you definitely keep it a part of your lifestyle because it definitely comes into the rest of your career. You feel better, you feel sharper, you feel stronger, and you look better too. Appearance is everything. You get one body. Why not take care of it and see what levels you could take it to?
Yeah, your body's your temple.
Facts.
Gotta keep it healthy.
I honestly think it makes you a more productive person. I don't know if you guys agree with that though, but like when you have that like schedule, that strive to do something like that, like it shows that you not only care about your body, but like I think it'll open up more doors because you're going to care about other things as well. Like you're going to care harder about your work, on your job or your house or everything else because like it shows that you're actively thinking about other things outside of like I just want to be lazy. You know what I mean? It's a good habit.
Right.
It builds a lot of discipline for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the other big thing is I think, having a purpose on why you work out is a big one. For me personally, yeah, it's cool to be, strong and in shape and that's great, but in 30 years when I'm 50 and I start to slow up, I want to be able to run around with my kids in the backyard. I want to be able to do these things physically, when I have these kids and I start to get older, and then there's the other thing where it's like, hey, what are your two jobs as a man? You need to protect and you need to provide, right?
Yeah.
And so if I can't live with myself if I can't protect my own family and my own kids, right? So, I think having a strong why as to why you show up every day and other than obviously doing it for yourself is a big key to keeping you motivated and day in and day out. So
100%.
For sure. Yeah, man. Fitness is definitely a big part of your journey, and if it's not, it should be because the better you're in shape, I feel like the more dollars you'll make. That's just it's a mentality. You're gonna carry yourself better. You're gonna go into work feeling better. You know what I mean? Versus someone that's letting themselves go a little bit, not eating right, not doing any physical activity. Your body starts to fall apart, and then that goes right to your mental game. You're gonna be weak if you can't feel strong. How are you gonna be strong up here too? It all goes together.
I actually wrote a paper on this in college, funny enough, called about the halo effect. It basically was the halo effect is if you are a more attractive person, like more doors will open up for you because you're more attractive. Whether that's because people are going to perceive you as being better than you are, smarter than you are, work harder than you do because you take care of your body, or whether that's because it'll instill, like if you work out a lot, go to regimen or routine on you that you actually will, strive harder in other aspects of your life. But it was just basically the study called the halo effect that correlated fitness and being attractive with, success and happiness in life. I thought it was a really cool concept because I do think it opens a lot more doors because initial perceptions, sometimes are hard to get rid of. So when somebody initially sees you and you're fit and you take care of yourself, I'm not saying you have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but like that'll resonate in their brain better than if you look like you're just kind of slapped together and rolled out of bed and you don't care about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that 100%.
Definitely. You look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good. You play good, they pay good, baby.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
So for the people that think they're too busy because they work a 9 to 5 or just constantly busy with working or they have other obligations going on, how do you think, what's 5 tips, Garrett, that you think they should put into that schedule to make time for the gym?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it comes down to, time management and everybody's schedule is different. But for me, I work a 9 to 5, so it's perfect. So I like, and the new routine I've been doing is getting up early, getting it out of the way. So I'll go down early in the morning, get my workout in, get my breakfast in, right? And that just starts my day off. It's a small win, just get that, momentum
Mm-hmm.
building. So that's a big one. I think just, getting up early and getting at it, that's going to, help a lot of people. So that's one for sure. Two, just again, I'd say prioritizing that protein, just getting it in throughout the day. That's a big one, to just kind of staying lean, staying strong, staying in shape, prioritizing that protein. Number three, I'd say just trying to mix in some cardio in there. A lot of people, they'll go crazy with the weightlifting and pound steaks and all that, and that's great. You gotta kind of, if you want to be like an all around, healthy individual, you got to start mixing in a little bit of cardio in there. So that's three. Four is just really, and this, it all boils down to consistency at the end of the day. There's going to be days where you show up and you're half-assing it, but at the end of the day, you still showed up. And you're not going to kick every workout out of the ballpark, but as long as you're just showing up and doing what you need to be doing on a daily basis, it's hard to beat somebody that shows up every day.
Yeah.
That's four, is just showing up. And then five is kind of counterintuitive to what I just said, but just overall workout intensity. I think if you're really just focusing on how intense your workout is and just really pushing yourself, that's going to go farther than any of the bro science stuff you see out there, where it's like, you got to do 25 reps of this exercise to achieve hypertrophy and this and that. It's like, show up, lift hard, eat a lot of food, get your protein in, and you'll be golden. So that's what I
fire. The biggest thing I took for that is the first thing you said is getting the small win. And I think that, as we go through this course of life, we all want to reach for that higher goal, but we have to go through those small steps, those small wins to get to that spot. So every time you hit the gym, every time you go into work and you clock in on time, those are small wins. So taking that into account and being able to just wake up, like you said, and go to the gym to get your day started, it's a great small win. Get off work, you had a crazy day, but you go to the gym, had a good lift, another great win, So stuff like that was my favorite thing that I took from that personally.
Facts. Big facts. I think it's a good time to switch over to segment number 2. And Hunter, this was your recommendation, and I really like this one. So this topic, we're going to talk a little bit about inner monologues and different personality types that we all have. And so me and Hunter just took these personality tests last night. It's called 16 personalities, and it pretty much breaks it down to a science where they ask you, like, I don't know, 50 questions, and you pretty much each answer is like very likely to least likely, and on the options in between. And it measures all your responses to those questions, and it pretty much shoots out this huge detailed, pretty much a whole personality assessment of who you are, and what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are in different aspects of life. And me and Hunter ended up having the exact same personality. And we were laughing because we went through like the results at the end, and we were like, yeah. And then we were like, yeah, this is pretty much it. Like, this is pretty facts. And I thought that was pretty cool, because it makes you wonder, because we realized that was pretty rare, because there's 16 different personality types, and me and Hunter ended up with the exact same one. And obviously you two, there's just no way we're all four gonna have the same personality. Like, you guys have your own personality types, and it's crazy that a test that asks a couple questions, like 50 questions, can tell you really like a lot about you. And I think that's, what do you guys think about all the different types of personality types, and just going about it, meeting different types of people, and dealing with different types of people?
Yeah, so what was y'all's personality trait, or what was some of the things that they portrayed about y'all?
Go ahead, Hunter.
I mean, it was like in the classification, it was like commander would be like your personality trait, and it would be so like we were like, like our skill set would be like someone who's driven and wants things to be done, wants them to be done like efficiently, is very like fact driven. And then like weaknesses wise, it's like someone who doesn't deal well with like failure, someone who is very critical of themselves, someone who wants things to be done like extraordinarily fast. So like it kind of, and it does that for like all different sectors. There's a lot. It had like relationships in there. It had your work life, your personal life. But it's cool. Me and Chase were talking about this on the phone yesterday, and I just think it's cool because I've been thinking a lot about like people having inner monologues and like different thoughts and like how you perceive yourself and how people perceive you. And the human mind is just so in depth and insane. It's like your reality isn't somebody else's reality, and like some people don't have the same thoughts in their head on a daily basis that you have, even if you lived the exact same life verbatim. And so like that's what creates a different personality. It's nature and nurture, and it's just your own human mind, the way you're wired. So it's just really cool. I think interesting to break it down sometimes and to be like, this is how some people are, just verbatim, and some people are different. You can put them into this category and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But it's a really like interesting and really in-depth concept, I think, that I don't know, I like to toy with.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I have to make sure I take that later on tonight, and I'll let y'all know what I come back with.
Yeah, dude, give it a riff. I actually think it was pretty accurate. I mean, there were, there's a couple things, but I was like, maybe not. But like, what do you think, Chase? I thought it was pretty like well in line. And it's funny because before we got our results, we were on the phone. And I was like, Chase, we have very similar personalities. And then he was like, what are you? And I read it. And he was like, oh, that's funny. So am I. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it is crazy. What do you guys think about like the different inner monologues that we all have, and like do you have like frequent thoughts in your brain? Because like that's another thing me and Hunter were talking about. Like he feels like when we're in certain situations and our brains are thinking about what's going on around us, like how some people might not have that to where their brain's actually consciously thinking about what's going on. Some people's minds, like they don't have an inner monologue. Some people don't have that voice. Do you guys hear your own voice in your head often?
Oh yeah, I tend to talk to myself a lot when I spend time. Like I have a lot of alone time, so I'm debating with myself. I'm talking facts to myself. I'm talking shit to myself. So like, I think I'm always just thinking, critiquing myself. Shit, why did I say it like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why'd you wear this outfit out? Or like, you should have handled that situation better. After the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, no, sometimes I'm the same way, Eli. Like, I'll have that internal conversation with myself all day long. And sometimes, dude, it just kind of drives me up a wall, dude. I'm like, because it's like, I need to do this. I need to do this. Oh, you forgot to do that. But, oh, now you need to do this. It's like, all right, just chill, But for me, it helps to just write things down. Like if I'm hearing myself, right, and I'm like, okay, I get it, and my thoughts are all scrambled, I'll just sit and start writing. It gives you so much clarity on things. That's what I'll do every morning when I get into work, right? I have all these thoughts running through my head. I need to call this person. I need to do this. Just write it down. It gives you so much clarity. It helps me a ton. So that's a little tip. Yep.
And just feeling that time where you can just check it off or cross it out.
Yep.
It's like, woo, another weight off my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that because sometimes I'll tell myself, I'm like, dude, nobody is harder on anybody than I am on myself. It's like I'm my biggest hater sometimes. It's like I go through a day, I'm like, why am I so hard on myself? Chill out. It's all right. Mm-hmm. But like you get caught up in your own thoughts sometimes, and then it's an easy spiral.
Yeah, I remember talking to family members this weekend, and they're like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Like, you made it out the hood. And I'm like, I got so much more to go. Like, and so it's levels to it. So it's like in my mind, I'm like, yo, you're a scrub still. Like, you still, you might have like a good job and shit, but you got so much more to achieve. And like for other people, it's like, yo, you've achieved more than I can ask for. So it's just understanding like it's levels to the mental and to the mental for sure.
And that all comes back to that like personality type too. Like what you're satisfied with yourself, what you're not satisfied with. Like, that comes down to like who you are as like a person. I'm sure some personality types are happy with one thing and others, or like me and Chase is like you always kind of want more. It's like I do kind of always want something else. What's next?
Yeah, and that was one of me and Hunter's weaknesses, actually. Was one big one was lack of emotional understanding. And then we just like kind of laughed about it because it's like we're working on that, but at the same time, like, yeah, I'm aware that that's something that I need to probably work on. But hey, everybody has their flaws, and weaknesses. You just got to get better at them. But I also think it's very cool how like with the different personality types, you got to think that just changes completely how everybody processes different thoughts. Like visually, you see things, you hear things, you could be chaotic in your life, you could be organized in your life. Like it's just crazy how everybody's brain just completely can work different. Like you said, Hunter, you could live the same life as someone verbatim, twins, and be completely opposite people just because that's just how you're wired. And that's another thing we were talking about. It's like, does any of that really have to do with how you're raised, or is a lot of it just simply like who you were since a kid? Yeah. Because I know for a fact, they used to tell us in psychology that your personality is pretty much fully developed, and granted, just personality, by about 8 years old. Like they say that by the time you're 8 years old, like people around you are going to get a good idea of who you're going to be as a person. Like you kind of stick to those same, framework.
I think,
which is interesting.
I think it definitely is like developed partially from, where how you're raised, but I think a majority of it is, like who you are, your genetics, your personality type that you're born with. But I do think there is maybe a 65-35 split, because there is a lot that has to do with like the environment you grow up that shapes you into who you are and your personality that way. It's like if you spray a cat for getting on a table, it's not going to get on a table. So if something you do in your, your at home life is always shot down, you're not going to carry that in your personality. But there's also a sense where like you have your own mind, and that's going to do the things that you want it to do because that's how it's wired. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting split though, because it's like if you were to take somebody out of like if you were to take somebody like out of like the inner city and put them to like where I grew up. We didn't grow up in the inner city, but out of like a city area in like the middle of nowhere, would they be the same person? That's an interesting thought.
And I think that's where like accommodating and adapting comes into play, to be able to accommodate and be into different environments, because some people get so stuck of where they're from and what they're used to that when they go to a different environment, it's weird. They can't adapt. They feel uncomfortable. But it's okay to be like, okay, I'm going into this type of environment. Let me, maybe I can't say the things that I maybe say, or maybe I can't be as loud as I want to be, or maybe I shouldn't rock this type of style that I normally would based off the environment that you're in. And it's okay to do that. Like, it's not that you switching up to like fit in. It's just like that sometimes that's just how the world works.
Yeah, dress for your surroundings.
Yeah.
It's the same as like going to work. Like you can't wear like I can't wear what I wear to the bar to work. That's not
Yeah.
me switching up and being fake. That's just me
Yeah.
fitting into the environment that I'm putting myself in at
Exactly.
that
Right.
moment. I'm still the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
If you
say
want to
fuck
hang
all
with
the time.
bosses, if you want to hang with bosses, you're gonna dress like a boss, not a scrub.
Exactly.
What do you think about that, G Reed?
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%. I think it comes down to social norms and social conformity and what we're kind of used to. Like, obviously, like you're not going to go and wear PJs to the church, right? Just out of
Yeah.
respect for the Lord, and it doesn't have anything to do with you personally, but it's just there's certain things where it's like you just need to show like, and I saw this. It was really interesting. I don't know if you guys know Jordan Peterson or not, the psychologist. Yeah, so he actually talked about this and how like wearing like dressing up is actually a sign of respect, not only for yourself but for other people as well. This is like you walk around like gas stations and stuff. You see people wearing like PJs and tank tops, and it's like what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's almost like a sign of respect to kind of dress up and follow those social norms. So that's kind of what I think, but
Isn't
definitely
it
interesting, kind of the nature versus nurture aspect of it.
Yeah.
talking about how you just mentioned dressing up and going out? Isn't it interesting how society has shifted in like the last 60, 70 years, where like at one point in time, people like wore suits every day, regardless of your income, because, you dressed up to go to the store. And now you walk into Walmart and people wearing their chili pepper pajamas and,
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
see-through tank top that you didn't want to
Yeah.
see through. And kind of
right,
crazy. Like I'm one of those people, I'm not dressing up to go to Walmart, but like I normally put on jeans before I go out to like go to the grocery store. Even if I wear them for an hour just to buy my fucking pizza rolls, I just, it makes me feel better when I'm out in a public setting. But some
Yeah.
people
right,
don't care, but it's weird that shift is like now people got anything.
Yeah.
Dude,
right,
that is so weird that you said that. I was literally thinking that exact concept when Garrett was just saying that. I was literally thinking of, the 40s, 50s, 60s when like people would wear suits on a day-to-day basis, and that's just how you went out the house.
Yeah.
right,
I was literally thinking that exact thought. That's so crazy that you said
But it's
that.
right,
also that's a sign of respect for yourself. Like I don't put on jeans to go outside to respect anybody else, but like me, like I want to look good, I want to look presentable. I want to know if I
right,
get into any situation, I'm not going to be embarrassed that
Embarrassed.
somebody,
Yeah.
is seeing me here. I used to always tell myself before I had a girlfriend, like, who knows, I can meet my future wife. That was just kind of a
yep,
joke. But like in a
Yes.
way, it's true. You never know who you're going to meet wherever you are, and I would hate to be caught with my dick in my hand. You know what I mean? I don't want to be
right,
caught looking like a scrub just outside when I could take 5 seconds to put on a pair of jeans and throw a hat on and to look
Yeah.
right,
decent. It's me
Yeah.
respecting myself.
right.
100.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it was really interesting when I was in Japan last month. Their culture is very respect oriented, There was not, I was there for 2 weeks. Not a single person there was dressed in sweatpants, or it was, everybody's dressed to the nines, whether they were wearing like full on designer clothing or all the businessmen were in suits. It's a very respect oriented culture, and they're, the way they dress and the way they present themselves, if it reflects that. So it's just kind of interesting, like the contrast over there and in a completely different culture, as opposed to here where you walk around, you see people just dressed like crap all the time. It's like it's just interesting.
Well, that also is
Right.
portrayed in like the way we treat ourselves too. I bet there's not as many obese
Yeah.
people over there either. Where you got a bunch of people who are obese and don't care about themselves whatsoever because they're depressed and stuck on medication. I think over there they probably prioritize that a little more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's so important that like we're having this discussion, because a lot of people don't realize that just understanding these type of things goes a long way. Because let's just say, for example, one of your boys is going through a hard time, okay, and he might be like, back to the personality types. He's the type of person that he handles things differently than you do. And instead of just hearing him out and you think that's doing it for your boy, like imagine taking it to another level and being able to understand a little bit where he's coming from, instead of just hearing him out, and just instead of being an open ear to someone, having the ability to realize that, okay, I'm not just going to tell him, how I would handle it, because I got to realize he's a different person and he might handle his shit different. And I think it's very important to understand different personality types and to read a room of where you're at. A lot of people don't know how to read a room, especially in business. Even in real life, no matter where you're at, you're going to come into a setting where you might meet a person that could change your life in any type of way. Whether that be your future wife in a place you never thought you'd be, whether that be you go to a business conference and meet someone that's going to make you $100,000. You don't realize who you're going to meet. And so having that respect, but also having that understanding of being able to be around different types of personalities, and just because they don't click like you click, you're able to kind of value, okay, Elijah is a little bit different than I am. He handles things different. So I'm going to understand him, not just hear him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think being able to read a room is a skill set that is kind of undervalued. Like it could really set you apart. That can be the difference between like you getting a promotion or not. Like if you can go in and read a room and crack a joke at the right time, be silent at the right time, say the correct answer when it's needed and not when people don't want to hear it. That could change so many dynamics in your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Got to read the room, people.
I don't know what it is, and I think it's especially easy in our generation to stick out. Like if you're really good socially, like you have charisma and you're able to, really connect with a wide variety of people, I think it's so easy to stand out nowadays. I don't know what it is with COVID or social media or whatever it is, but I think the number one skill you can have in life is people skills.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier than ever to just, have people, even if you just have average people skills, that's going to get you so much farther than somebody who does not have those people skills. So,
For sure.
Dude,
I think it was COVID though. I think COVID
I don't know what it
really
was,
did
but
a number. Because you gotta remember, we maybe dealt with 1 year. At least I dealt with 1 year of COVID to where I felt it. Like the younger generation, like Hunter class, Chase class, they dealt with it 2 years because they had actual COVID, and then they had that next year. Whether we were still on college, so we still had to be able to. We could maneuver. They lost prom, sports for 2 solid years.
I think that, and in the mix of like social media and stuff today, I think COVID definitely changed it. And then you got people, everyone's more adapted to their phones and they're more stuck in like their virtual life than their personal life. And I think we're just seeing that come up from like the younger generations. COVID more aligns with technology, and it's making like people who aren't like that, like us in a way, seem like we stand out. But like if we were in the 80s, we wouldn't stand out. That's how everybody would be, because you were forced to be that way. COVID really fucked up some shit, dude.
Yeah.
Not doing anything, being stuck in your house for 2 years, some cases for kids, not good.
Yeah.
Like your most developmental stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plays a
No,
toll
for
on your
sure.
mental.
For sure. Another big thing that you just said that kind of swings into our next topic, talking about the media and things like that, is I want to bring up a little bit about media manipulation and how, all of a sudden we could completely be into all these things that we used to roast. And then now they cancel and shun and ban things that we used to love. It's like the media could portray things to make them appear how they want them to appear to us. And that's a big thing. And people don't realize you can be easily manipulated just by the media, whether that be news stations like it was back in the day. Now it's just all over because the internet, you never know what to believe.
Yeah.
I mean, the influx of false information on the media now is kind of insane. Like, you never know what's real, what's not real. You see all these videos like, oh, alien attack here, you know. It's just like, you know, oh, look at this UFO. You never know what's AI, especially with AI, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there was like, you know, a phone call that went out earlier this year that was like JD Vance like ripping on Elon Musk, completely AI. But for like 12 hours, news stations were picking this up and saying like, "Oh, leaked
Yeah.
phone call of the vice president of the United States," but it's all fake. So then it's like it comes from your social media, it comes from your news stations, and it's like, damn, where the fuck do you trust? I mean,
Yeah.
even I don't know if you guys, but like with what they did with like the whole presidential election and Biden's cognitive health, and it came out he had cancer now, like that whole thing, like that's media lying, that's media manipulation, and then they just kind of shove it under the rug like it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. We're pretending like we're not sheep because we literally feed whatever the algorithm is giving us. Literally. Like dead ass, whatever we get, whatever we see on TikTok, we're like, oh shit. And I'm not gonna lie, I found myself falling in that hole a couple times where I see something and I'm like, and then I tell somebody, they're like, bro, relax. That's bullshit. And I'm like, you're right, you caught me.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's kind of crazy how good the algorithms are too. Like, I'll be sitting in bed scrolling, doom scrolling, and it's like 1 second I'll be watching LeBron highlights, and then I'm watching Pokemon cards. It's like, what is going on, man? It's like, and it's like that constant dopamine hit. Like you get, the 10, 15 second clips, you get that dopamine hit, and it's like you just find yourself doom scrolling 3 hours later, like, oh my god, where all this time go?
Yeah.
And I think it kind of reflects in today's society. We kind of just live in like a microwave society where everybody just wants everything now. Like there's
Yeah.
no like delayed gratification anymore. Like it's all just now, now, now. And I think a big part of it is just like, these social media platforms and how they give us information.
Yeah.
That was such a clip, dude. I thank you so much for that, Garrett. That was fire.
Appreciate you, brother.
Dude, it's just crazy. Elijah, like you said, and Garrett, like you said, you both just said some crazy deep hitting things. I want the audience to make sure they heard that right.
Yeah.
Not only are you getting instant gratification dopamine hits that are really generally fucking up your processing system, because now you don't even know how to appreciate something good because it's taken more than 5 minutes, so you're over it already.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
dude, it's the same issue I'm going with right now. We have all you people on Instagram and TikTok listening. Thank you so much. We appreciate the support. But then we go and like, if you really watch the YouTube videos, they're a lot better. I promise. If you can sit down for 45 minutes to an hour, they're fire. It all goes together. It's not just a bunch of clips.
Yeah.
But again, maybe take a minute away from the scrolling, get off of Instagram, get off of TikTok, and jump over to YouTube. Watch something that, stimulates your mind for more than 30 seconds. Like, get back to the real information and processing real life things. And it doesn't all come like that. It's not supposed to. Anything good in life does not come easy and quick. Nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then Elijah, like you said, it's like, dude, oh my gosh, the algorithm's literally feeding us, like force feeding us, because it is scary. Like you said, Garrett, they literally know who you are. They know exactly what you're into. They literally, all of us are victims of it because our algorithms are tailored to us. And so when we're scrolling, dude, like Hunter, I know you'll probably see some hunting videos and then a finance tip and then something about the Steelers, and all of a sudden you're like, I like all of this, but it's just, they're tricking you.
Dude, I get so disappointed in myself, and I do it every day. I get, it's like I'm like, oh, I want to watch this TV show. I'd like to read this book. I like to do this. I like to go to the gym, and then it's like I sit down for like, oh, I'm gonna sit down for 5 minutes, and I get sucked into my phone for 35 minutes, and every time I'm like, oh, why did I do that? But it's so easy just to fucking get just lost right in that thing, dude. And it's like that; those 2 second videos add up real quick. Next thing you know, it's an hour and you haven't moved, and you're just melting. You're just melting your brain.
Right.
And I do it every day.
Every day.
Yeah, we're all victims. Like, we know it. We're part of the generation that they hit the hardest. I mean, shit, they had crack in the 80s. They got fucking TikTok in the 2020s, dude. Like, we're victims. We're victims to the system.
Crazy thing is like, in a way, you're weird if you're not a part of it. Like, if you don't have an Instagram page, people are like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, you're not on social media. Like, people are like, oh, let me send you this TikTok. You're like, oh, I don't have TikTok. They're like, oh. Oh, why? You're like, you are now the black sheep if you think if you want to be different.
Have you guys taken any breaks from social media recently? Because one thing I've been doing the past, like, probably 12 months, I had TikTok and Instagram both deleted for probably like a total of 8 months in between the last year, and I've only had it probably for a total of 4 months, just because I wanted that refresher. I wanted to take a break and see how different it changed my life. And here's one thing I will say. it's crazy how our brains work, because I deleted TikTok and I deleted Instagram, my most two used apps. So guess what? You would think I'd spend less time on my phone. But guess what? My Facebook Reels time shot up through the roof. Because guess what? It's still there, bro. It's on every
Yep.
single app. It's right there. It gets you no matter where you
Yep.
go. Snapchat has it, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's like you can't get away from this little hits of dopamine. So have a little bit of self-control sometimes if you realize it's becoming a problem, because it can be. It can be a very, very bad problem. I've seen a lot of people, like the COVID babies right now, those kids that are still in college, them kids are screwed.
Hooked.
Yeah. Like, I've seen coworkers sit at work and be like this and type in an email, working on a flight. I'm like, then I look at myself. Oh, that's a cool video. Hold on, let me work this flight real quick.
Right.
It's
And I'm
definitely
like, you gotta stop.
it's definitely changed like the work generations too. Like my mom was telling me, like she'll get annoyed because like younger people like in our generation will like watch YouTube videos and stuff while they work, and how she would never do that. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, fuck, sometimes I do that. You know?
I do
Like,
that. I will
Right.
watch a podcast
yeah.
while doing work.
Oh, it's definitely crazy.
It's
What's
it's
yours?
so subconscious sometimes too. Like you don't even realize you're doing it. I've gotten to the point where I almost like do it like at work. I do it as like a reward. Like I'll work really hard for like 30 minutes to an hour,
Yeah.
and then I'll be like, all right, I can go and like
Yeah.
for 5 minutes. I can dick around and watch some YouTube stuff or whatever. But like it's hard because sometimes you're like you'll just go on your phone, check notifications. You just start
Yeah.
like subconsciously. It's like dang,
I
you know.
had it.
So
One thing that actually kind of helped me recently with it is I just hid my Instagram app. So like I don't have Facebook and I don't have TikTok, so I just use Instagram, YouTube Shorts. But like I hid my app, so it's not on my home screen. So if I want to go on Instagram, I have to like search it. I don't know. It's just how like
Okay.
one extra set.
Yeah.
It's still there, but it's a little bit easier because I'm not just like
That's interesting. Have you guys ever heard of that little thing called the brick?
No.
So it's this little device that they created for people that can't seem to find enough self-control to just stop watching it. Like this is for like people that, okay, they know if they don't go out and find external help that they're not going to be able to do it. So it's like this little brick. And what it does is you can hook it up to your phone and lock specific apps. And then so you like take the brick away to a different place. Like, say you're working from home. You put it in your living room and you're in your office, and none of those apps will work on your phone until you physically stand up and walk to this brick and put it near your phone to unlock it. Like
That's
it's getting that bad
crazy.
to where people need to buy technology to keep them from their technology.
right, yeah.
What the hell?
It's insane. Like, what happened to a little bit of self-control?
that's what it did, dude. It got rid of self control. It made us instant gratified all the time, 24/7. We can't even watch movies.
Yeah, literally. I don't remember the last time I watched a full movie.
Which is sad, dude. Like, and then it's like, how much of that shit do you retain? That's the one thing I think about. Like, when I sit on my phone for 2 hours, it's like I could have watched a movie and remembered that entire storyline. But
Yeah.
I'll sit and I'll doom scroll for 2 hours. Do I remember more than 3 clips? Maybe 3 minutes? I couldn't tell you anything else I watched. It doesn't, it just goes in one ear, right out the other.
Yeah.
Yep.
One quick thing I started doing. So, like, do you guys ever scroll on Instagram and, like, save a post to look at later?
Yeah.
Like, for any reason. Maybe it's funny, maybe it's educational. So, I realized I do that a lot. I save a lot of videos that I like. And then I realized I never go back and look through it because it's all scrambled and jumboed. So, what I did the one day, I had some free time on a Sunday, and I went through all of my saved Instagram posts and I grouped them. So like I have an educational page, I have a food page, maybe if it's like recipes, I have a music page of new music. And so it's like it helps a little bit because at least if I'm going to try and find some of the tips and tricks that I find, they're actually there instead of just
Yeah.
like tricking my brain into think I'm going to use it later,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's pretty beneficial because there's a lot of good tips on there if you can filter out the good from the bullshit.
You just organized your drug habit. You're like a drug addict who just organizes one box. I got it over here and here and here.
Dude.
You're just
A
making it
functional
sound better
circle
because it
addict.
looks nice.
Hey, at least I can find what I'm looking for now. Because now I actually go back and use it. So, like, I have a whole folder of sales tips. I go and click on that whenever I'm needing a refresher of some objection handling or just different types of tips for getting people on the phone and little things like that. Now I can go right when I need it. And instead of scrolling and being like, oh, it's here, it's there, they're all together. So it actually does help a lot because then I can use it actually for educational purposes instead of just
Yeah.
scrambling.
No, fair.
Right.
Tell me if this is too far, but I'll tell you what, something that's been irritating me really bad on Instagram is the amount of meme pages I follow that, like, not even like my For You page or anything, that have like sold themselves out to naked women. Like, I gotta like watch my phone when I'm at work because it's like, it's not like I'm on the pages I follow. Like, I follow a Family Guy memes page. It just posts Family Guy videos. But for some reason, there's a naked woman on the one, like on my reel posted by them, and then they delete it like 3 hours later. And I'm like, why, dude? Like, you're supposed to just post memes. I don't need to see that right now. It's kind of like terrible. It's like porn everywhere you look.
No, that's a perfect pivot. This isn't even on the script, but this is a perfect conversation that needs to be said for all the people out there. Boys, we're gonna have to break this down because some people don't realize how bad the overabundance of porn being everywhere is screwing also with these people's brains.
Yeah.
So I know you guys are gonna have plenty to say about this, but I think it's terrible. Like you said, you're on a meme page and have to see a naked woman just because they sold out and they want to do the promotions for these girls or whatever. And it's like, dude, that's just ridiculous. OnlyFans culture, all that, man. Get into it.
And it's also like, the people you're around, somebody else could see that on my phone and they're just catching a glimpse of that and get a bad look upon me. But it's like, that's like things that take you away from like your focus, especially as a male, you know what I mean? Like, we're already prone to be horny. And then it's like, that makes you like in a way degrade women unintentionally. Like, when you're just scrolling your phone and you're seeing naked women all the time, like, how are you not supposed to like in a way degrade them or in a way to view them as an object, because that's what you're seeing every day, not even when you're trying to see it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not healthy at all, and it makes you look at women, it makes you look at sex differently, relationships differently, dynamics differently, your coworkers differently. How are you supposed to respect a woman in charge when after you get off a phone with her, you go on Instagram and there's a woman just shaking ass right there? You know what I mean? Like, you used to break those into different parts of your day.
Yeah.
Okay? You had that time after work whenever you wanted to, not immediately on your phone after a meeting. It's just a weird fucking thing, dude.
Yeah.
It's definitely weird.
Real shit.
It's definitely weird. Whole OnlyFans and culture. It's like, why are we feeding that? Like, why are we letting them have podcasts? Like, that is weird. Like, that is weird. And now it's to the point, like, 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds, they're doing that thinking it's cool. And it's like, not. Like, you want to be promiscuous and a slut. Like, that is real men don't want that.
Right.
And that's why it's a lot of failed relationships, because it's women like that thinking they deserve a real man, but get with a real man and see like, oh, he not gonna tolerate and let me do whatever I want and shit like that. So they get scared of him, but they let a dude that ain't really straight come into their lives that they can run over and do this and all because he got money or whatever, he can afford your trips. That makes him a real dude. Like, no.
Right. Yeah, and I saw something kind of back to like the just having it abundantly in your face all the time. I saw something where they compared like two brain scans. One was like a heroin addict and one was like a porn addict. It's like the same part of the brains light up, which is just like crazy. And it's so detrimental.
Yeah.
And it's like, apparently, and I don't know if this is true or not, but like the average 16-year-old kid sees as much naked women in a day as Royal King did in his entire lifetime, which is just like crazy. I mean, and so it's like, you get to a point where you just kill these kids like motivation. No wonder they're scared to go up to that girl. No wonder they're scared to like shoot the shot. No wonder they're scared to like ask her out, right? Because it's like, why can I do that when I can just go and hide in my room and just like, have all these pixels on my screen and look at all this stuff, right? So it just, again, it goes back to just killing that drive, killing that motivation.
Or even the opposite way, it's like no wonder they don't want to start a family, or they don't want to have a girlfriend, or they don't want to settle down because like they don't respect them. There's nothing to respect there. It's like, I don't value you at all because I can see it on my phone, or because somebody else should give it to me because I view you as this object. And then once that all changes, say in 30 years, these girls like want to be adults and have children. Imagine if like you have that page and like your hoo-ha is just out there in the wind and like your kids' friends can find that. That's gonna be terrible for them, dude. Like, I couldn't imagine growing up and having that type of bullying. You're subjecting your children to the worst high school experience you possibly could. That's terrible.
And like, you can't be mad if they start fighting and stuff. Like, this man's put my mom's OnlyFans up. Like, how can you not have to fight over that? Like, you gotta run 30 with me.
Dude, I'd lose it.
Yeah, man. And just to circle back, we're not talking about, that's why men look at all women like that in this generation. At the end of the day, we just don't know the difference anymore. It's hard to see the difference between the good girls and the hoes, because guess what? You guys are all out together.
Yeah.
If a pack of lions is walking down the road towards me, I'm not about to look and see which one's mean or which one's not, bro. You guys are together. I'm out.
It's also not necessarily all men and it's not all women. We're talking about a cultural shift as a conglomerate. So, like, you know, we're not saying like verbatim, this is how we view everything. But as a culture, you can look at 10 years ago and you can see a difference. And you can look at 20 years ago and see a drastic difference. And you can look at 40 years ago in the 80s and it's astronomically different. So if you were to take those incremental shifts, you know, and then wonder, how did we get to where we are now as a society? That's why, you know, it's because it's slowly been introduced broader and broader and broader. And then that just changes the way you view everything.
Yeah.
Right.
100.
Perfect pivot to the next subject. So we're talking about, you know, how the society has shifted from, you know, how men and women maneuver and go about their daily lives in this generation. But, you know, it's something to look at, because people think that they're just having fun and living a good life and doing whatever they want. Why are people just not sticking it out? People are seeking, you know, comfortability instead of just working through things. And so the topic that we want to discuss upon is about the difference between a good relationship and toxic love, and, you know, red flags, and maybe even belief differences and how that all can factor into a relationship. So first and foremost, I want us to all go around and give our biggest red flag that will completely turn you away from someone.
I don't want to say what I want to say.
Right.
I don't want to say what I want to say.
I'm not gonna lie. My biggest red flag is honestly just beautiful women that have a following, and I'm not even talking about famous people. I'm talking about the girls we know that might have 5K to 10K followers. They just think that because they have a little audience that they're just above everybody and above everything, and that if you don't have everything going on, you can't even talk to them. Right. And I just think that they think that that online persona matches how they should be treated in real life. But in all reality, baby, what have you brought to the table? What do you have to offer? What are your morals like? You know, I'm not really worried about what you look like in a bikini on Instagram where 1,000 other dudes can like the picture.
Yeah.
It's like, so I feel often that the prettier that they are and the more attention they get, the more stuck up they are.
Yeah. I would say one of my biggest red flags are they have they're not original. No authenticity. Like, they can't think for themselves. They act like everybody else. Whatever the new trend is, they hopped on. Like, they're just another sheep. You know, I need a leader. I need a goat. I need a lion. I need a needle in a haystack.
I'd say mine, and it's something that can be attributed to men and women, is entitlement. You know, like when people feel entitled that they are owed something because of who they are, that they deserve this or they deserve that. I don't deal with entitlement very well. Nobody owes you anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on what Wiley said. I think mine as well is also just unoriginality. You know, my girlfriend, authentic as it comes, you know, and I appreciate that about her. You know, she'll be her at all times. I never have to question it, you know, and she's just her, and it's great. You know, it's a breath of fresh air, because, you know, like you said, there's so many, it's just like cookie cutter, carbon copy, and it's like I could talk to, you know, 10 girls and have the same conversation over and over.
Literally.
Like what are we doing here, you know? And then I met Kara, and I'm like, this is great, you know, she's original, she's authentic, like this is a breath of fresh air, like this is awesome, sign me up, you know. So I'm gonna agree with you on that one.
And she got your style better too.
Hey, I got a personal stylist too, man.
She got his whole drip going. She gave that man some sauce.
She got Debo dripped out.
She got me right.
I ain't never seen you acting like that, Debo.
It was black wife beaters and jean jackets to the bars before that. So Wiley knows.
Oh, fuck. And, you know, to piggyback off that, you know, Garrett, you and Hunter, we're 2 for 4 right now on relationships. 2 of us are in relationships. You know, 2 of us are out here figuring it out, waiting for the right one, looking for the needle in the haystack. So I just want to talk to you guys about, you know, especially being a part of this generation where we're young, we're heading towards success, we have things going for us in life, and, you know, how do you know when it's the right time to be able to be like, okay, yes, I could be out here just living a free life and doing whatever I want, but I'm going to go ahead and lock this woman down because she has something different to her that, I'm willing to build with.
Yeah, I mean, speaking from personal experience, I think, I mean, just having the quality in a woman where it's a ride or die, right? She's in there when you're struggling, she's right there by your side helping you out. So if somebody's like, right by your side, you're going through the trials and tribulations of life, and she's helping you while you're struggling, that woman deserves to have every bit of when you actually make it and come to, your success and come into yourself as a man. I think she deserves every bit of that. For me to, stick it out and have a woman by my side that goes through that stuff with me, that's what I look for. It's like, I know she's gonna have my back when times get hard because it's inevitable. You have a marriage, a 30, 40, year old long marriage, you're gonna have those times where things get hard. You don't know where that mortgage payment's coming from. The kids need to get here. You need to pay medical bills, like, and things are gonna come up, and you gotta know that your woman's there every step of the way with you.
Yeah.
So that's what I look for.
That's huge.
I definitely agree. And I agree with that too. I think part of life is companionship. And I think, in the Bible, men and women are supposed to be their companions together. So part of your journey in life is to find your companion and to find your person that you're going to spend every day with through sickness and health and thick and thin and through the highs and the lows. Part of that person's journey with you is to pick you up when you're down as well as you pick them up when they're down. You're obviously going to butt heads and have disagreements, but when you find that person where you're like, all right, like maybe it hasn't always been the best, or maybe it's going well and it sucked. Maybe, you're not sure, but it's like, I think you could be my companion. And I think when you start thinking that in that time, then it's worth giving it a shot. Not saying it will work, but that's when I think you think to yourself, like, okay, maybe we'll give this a go. Maybe we'll give it a run because, if you think that's possible, then you take that risk and you see, like, are you compatible? Is this the person you see, going through every trial and tribulation in your life? Because at the end of the day, if you want kids and you want that family, like, you're gonna need somebody else there to do it with you. Men can't have kids without women, and women can't have kids without men. And if you want that golden American dream, like, you got to figure out how to make that work, and you got to find then your companion.
Yeah, on it.
Facts.
On it. To not rush into it.
Yeah, exactly. It'll come to you.
Yeah.
Well, because a relationship's also an investment, and a lot of people don't realize that you are investing time, energy, money, emotions, actions. You are investing a lot into a person, and people don't realize that, and they just are so quick to hop into a relationship. And like we all have friends that have been in 20 relationships, and it's like, dude, you might need to just like slow down and figure out if this person is compatible with you or if it's just going to waste your time. Because me personally, I'm not the type of person that wants to invest all the time, energy, money, affection, love, everything if it's not something I see working out. And you have to be picky sometimes, especially in our generation. With you never know who you're getting until you start getting to the nitty gritty with them. Things start getting rough. How are they going to react? Because I don't think you really always need to be with someone. They say opposites attract. I think you don't have to have matching opinions. Opposites can attract, but you have to have at least matching emotional maturity, morals. It has to at least come down to the base level of who you really are as a person. And does this person support you? Do you see yourself wanting to provide for this person? Do you see yourself making this investment something that's going to pan out long term? Because of course, that's what an investment is. You want to put something.
Absolutely.
And the biggest thing I used to teach back in the day, it's like, hey, just because y'all been fucking for 2 weeks does not mean that y'all need to put a label on it or y'all feel like y'all need to start doing something. But hey, if y'all just fucking, then y'all just fucking. Just leave it at that. And then if y'all start building on it, take her out for a little bit. Take her on those 3 dates or something. Actually get to know her instead of her just being a hookup at that point, because you falling in love with the pussy don't mean you falling in love with the person.
Absolutely.
That's a fact.
Isn't that weird how that shifted in today's generation? Like back with our grandparents, you took a girl out on 5 dates to maybe catch some side tit, maybe sniff it. And now it's like, I'm going to probably sleep with you before we've sat down and had a sober conversation. All right. We don't even know if we like each other. All right. We have no idea. I just met you. But it's like, if you were to like, tell your grandparents that in a way, like, yeah, dude, they're like, your grandmother made me buy her 10 beers before that.
Right.
10 dinners.
Yeah, I think
It
like casual hookup culture has just like changed the way we look at things a lot. You know, like
mm-hmm.
it's made it so casual to where it's like you really just know them on a base level. Like you don't really know like what they're all about and what they value as a person and their morals, right? Like, you know, it's rare nowadays to find a fulfilling relationship where you're both aligned morally and value wise. Like I think that's so important nowadays to have that, and it's harder and harder to find because of just like how casual we've made things, you know. And so it's like you never really can form like a deep emotional attachment with somebody because of
Yeah.
that.
Chase mentioned an interesting point where you talked about opposites attracting. What do you guys think about that? Because, like, I think yes and no. Like, I think you have to be similar, like, emotionally, intellectually, and, like, morally. But I do think, like, there can be personality opposites that do attract. Like, in my
Mm-hmm.
instance, like, I'm more, like, I like to adventure and do stuff, but I'm not a big planner. Like, I don't take a lot of, like, I wouldn't plan a trip to Japan. But would I love to go on a trip to Japan? Yes. So, like, my girlfriend, that is, like, opposite, where, like, she wants to plan more than she can even afford. So, like, she's always like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I think that kind of helps us attract each other because sometimes I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, we should not always be doing something. But also sometimes she's like, hey, why don't you get out of the fucking house, spend some money, and make some memories? So I do think there's a
Yep.
semblance where, like, if you have that other side
Yeah.
to your coin and then you guys can
Right.
mesh very well together, that's nice. What do you guys think about that?
I think I agree also. Really on a personality level, when it comes to like religion and politics, it's ways around it. As long as you're not like an atheist or anything like that, I think we'll be pretty good. But as long as you believe in something, I can work from there. And then once we develop that relationship of getting into marriage, I feel like we as a family can find our way to Christ. But and politic wise, also just teaching each other, you
Mhm.
know they might feel that way because of, like we say, like your environment or your family, you was born to think that way always. So that all of that just plays in the part into when you come together as one to just be like, okay, and understanding, once you have that understanding, then I feel like anything can attract to each other.
So,
Yeah, I agree. I think people like, you know, they'll be like politics isn't a big deal, like religion isn't a big deal. And it's like I think a lot of your core values and beliefs are kind of revolved around those two things, you know. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I try to keep an open mind, like I try to see other people's perspectives and hear other things out, like, and I try to be like that. But I want somebody who's like aligned with me, you know, with core values and stuff, because
Yeah.
I think down the road, you know, there can be some real, like when you're trying to face some real life problems and figure things out together and you're not on the same page, it can kind of pose some, you know, maybe problems that you didn't see, you know, before.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it'd be hard to raise a kid, if you had like opposing beliefs like that, like
Yeah.
opposing
Right.
political beliefs, opposing religious beliefs. Because then it's like, what side's the kid gonna pick, And if it doesn't pick your
Right.
side, are you gonna be
Mm-hmm.
upset? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
100.
Yep.
So I think in the long run, I would have to have somebody on those type of terms be identical or comparison. But personality wise, that's cool. Like if you get more heated and I'm more laid back, I'll be able to be the guy to calm you down. If you more introverted and I'm extroverted, I'll be willing to get you out your shell when need be. So like stuff like that. Like you said, 100 personality wise, I think I also agree on.
Hmm.
I think it goes both ways for sure, dude. Because sometimes I feel like I've been in both. I've been in one where it was opposites attract, and then I've been in one where it was like we were really similar. And I think both have their strengths and weaknesses for sure. Because you get with someone that's too similar sometimes, dude, and that's just constant. If you have the same personality type as someone, I don't know how well that would work. I have a little bit of experience, Hunter. I know someone that has the exact same personality type as us, and it didn't work. So I don't know if that was just that time, but I think that I do like the concept of opposites attracting because I want different dimensions brought into my life sometimes. I want to
Mm-hmm.
do things that aren't like you said, Hunter, you're not a big planner, but you like going on the trips. You're with someone who's a big planner and likes going on the trips, so that works perfect.
Right.
And so for me, I feel like that balance is sometimes what you need. And granted, I think it all just comes down to okay, we can be different based off of okay, what you're into, what the type of hobbies you like, that type of thing. Like I'm open to all those things. But when it comes down to the morals and the values and the beliefs, that's
Yep.
where it's like if you're too opposite on that, I don't know how that works, to be honest.
Right.
So, and then with the parenting too, I think that can be tricky because, like, if dad wants to raise the kids this way and mom wants to raise the kids this way, that's where the dilemmas are. Because then you have
Yeah.
people going back and forth. Oh, well, mom said this, dad said this, and it's like that would drive me crazy. I'd be like, dude, I said this. I'm your dad. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think you got to be careful, definitely, especially with getting into relationships, but even more when having a kid with someone, because that's a whole nother ball game.
Yep.
You're bringing
Yeah.
a whole
Whole
nother life
nother.
into the mix. You two don't even have your shit figured out together, and you're adding a third party. So
Right.
be careful. Definitely be careful. Good time to go into. Let's finish off this topic a little bit with a little bit about that toxic part that we were talking about, because we just talked about what we're looking for in the good parts, and we also gave a big red flag as well each. But just for the most part, recognizing toxic love and realizing that not all love is for you, and not everybody is going to be a good compatible partner for you, because a lot of people, as we know, I've seen people sit into relationships for far too long than they should have, and it kind of broke them down a little bit. It's like you become a shell of yourself because you're constantly having to reinvent yourself just to make things work almost. It's
Right.
like if things are so different and it gets to the point where you're conforming to what this person wants you to be instead of being your own person, like
Yeah.
that's no good, because then you're going to have resentment. You're going to be like, damn, do I really want to be doing these things? Do I really want to look at it like this? Do I really? And then you start to look at the partner and be like, I'm doing this for you. So then anytime something comes up or anytime something gets tough, that resentment hits hard, because it's like, dude, I'm not even doing this for me. I'm doing this for you. And then it gets thrown in their face. And it's like, then you have two people crashing heads, and it's like, you have to be on the same page, at least be in the same book. Some of these people ain't even in the same book. It's tough. That's why you gotta be picky. Don't be mad. Don't be quick to just rush into something. Be picky.
I 100% agree with everything you just said. I also think it becomes like an addictive cycle in a way too, where like you become so accustomed to it and you want it and you strive for it. So then like when it's good, it's so good, because when it was bad, it was so bad. You know what I mean? So it makes the highs feel better, and you kind of get stuck in that cycle of like, well, now it's good, now it's good, well, now it's good, and it's I've seen a lot of people kind of fall into that, that cycle, and then it's not only until they're out there, they're like, was it ever really that good? And then you gotta have that hindsight 2020, but it's definitely an easy cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like a good healthy relationship is supposed to energize you. Like you should look forward to talking to your partner every day. You should look forward to experiencing things with them. Look forward to things with them, right? It shouldn't feel like it's like an emotionally draining thing. And if it's like, and that's kind of like what Chase was saying, like where you get into the like former shell of yourself, you just kind of start to lose yourself because you're just doing it all to try to keep it afloat when it's just not going to work, and you got to realize when, time's up and you got to just move on, even though it may hurt at the time, it's going to hurt a whole lot less than if you just keep dragging that thing on. And then like, 2 years down the line, you lost yourself, they lost themselves, and it's a whole blowout, and it's just a terrible situation when you just could have, snipped it right then and there. But so
I've been listening to this artist called Fantasia. She's from Charlotte, but she has this song called "Free Yourself" and "You Gotta Lose to Win," and it's just about and for free yourself, it was like, if you don't want me, don't talk to me. Like, free yourself from me. And then lose the win was pretty much about like, sometimes, like Garrett was saying, you got to lose that part that's not healthy for you or that you think is healthy for you to start winning.
Garrett, I'd kind of like to get into a little bit about what you got going for work, because I don't think I fully got explanation of what you got going. I have a little idea from what Hunter told me, but it sounds very interesting. So what do you got going?
Yeah, so I am an insurance broker and a personal trainer. So I started in the insurance industry about a year ago today. I started as a Medicare broker strictly. So, got out there, got in front of seniors, was doing seminars, just really just trying to be a resource for these people. A lot of these people didn't have, somebody that they could really lean on. It was awesome. Like last week, we were at the Senior Expo down in Canton, and one of my clients was there randomly, just by chance. And, my boss was there, and she's like, I don't know what I would do without him. And I was like, all the work I did leading up to that point fulfilled right there. So it's just like being a resource for those people when they didn't have it, and just trying to help these people. So I started doing the Medicare. Still doing the Medicare, obviously, and then just got my property and casualty license in January. So I'm doing home, auto, business insurance, pretty much any line of insurance you could think of, RVs, boats, so we do a lot of personal lines and then commercial lines as well. So, business liability, business property. So just kind of branching out in that aspect. And then I just, like I said, I just personal train on the side, 10, 15 hours a week. So that's what I got going on. Yep.
Dude, hell yeah.
You're a 1099 employee too, right? So like you kind of do all like your clientele, you get your own book and set that all up
Correct.
yourself. That's really cool.
Yeah. So the Medicare, I own my own book, so it's awesome because you're able to, be your 1099. So it's all your independent contractor basically, and you own your entire book of business. And so it's great. You're able to build on that every year. You're just building and building and building, and eventually, the hope is it's going to turn into something real well and good. So that's that's the plan. But
Start you up a little LLC.
I'm trying. Hey, man. Like I said last week, I need to set one up. So
Yeah. Fuck
yeah.
yeah. And then in order to get into that, so like you have to take tests, to get your licenses. Can you kind of walk through like that process? Like how did you come up with this? And then you're like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to sit down and take these tests. Do you have to study for them, or is there multiple?
Yeah.
Or they cost money?
Yeah, so basically the process is, and it's not too bad. It's a little time consuming, but basically you'll sign up for a course online. I'm sure you can do it in person too, but I did mine online, just an online self-paced course. And I did about like 4 or 5, hours a day, just kind of self-paced. And then you're just learning, and every chapter has like a chapter review summary. Kind of just watch the videos, and then you take the test at the end of the course. And then when you pass those tests, I think you have to get a 70%. Print them out, and then you go in. You actually schedule your state exam in person. So I went in for both of mine. You go in. They are like legit about that stuff. They crack down, so you can't bring a phone. It's literally you show up with your paper and your ID, and they go in. It's whole room. Everything's cameras and everything. So they're real strict about it. And then it's basically 150 question test. Testing you on your knowledge of the industry. And I had to take that twice, once for the health and life to sell Medicare, and then another one for the property and casualty. So it was a process. Then once you pass your exam, you basically apply for your license. You got to get a background checked, all that. Obviously they don't want you, if you have a history of fraud or whatever, they don't want you selling insurance, obviously. But the whole process takes about, if you're really doing it, I'd say a month and a half, 2 months. So it's really not too bad. And then you just get contracted with an agency and then go from there.
How much did that cost you to like do that? Like per test, do you have to pay us like a couple $100 or?
Yeah.
For, like,
So
the study
course,
material?
I want to say the course was like 150, and then they'll get you. So like if you don't get a 70% on the first test, you can retest anytime you want, but it's $50 a pop each time.
Okay.
So you fail 2-3 times, you're 150 bucks in the hole. So the tests to actually take the first test, I believe it's free, but anytime after that's $50. So all in all, you can get your license. Obviously, in the background check takes some money as well. So about $200 to get your license.
And then does an agency have to hire you, or is it like you reach out to an agency like, hey, I have my license, I would like to, basically build my book under your label? Or do you have to like apply and go through like an interview? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, no, I mean they gotta like fill you out. Obviously, like it is like a hiring process. So like for me, I had a buddy that his dad owned the agency that I'm working for. So I kind of had like a mutual, in there. So I kind of sat down with him. He interviewed me and then got me contracted independently with all these carriers and stuff, and kind of just went from there. So, it was a process. I mean, to get up and going, it was like 2-3 months, I'd say. And then like I said, I started 1099 commission only, kind of just took a chance on myself, and now I'm full-time, salary and commission.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Big G Reed making it happen.
Big G.
Trying, man. Trying.
And for all the people that's listening, just know Garrett's doing all this and he didn't even need the college degree for it. And so just so you know, there's a lot of paths out there. We talked about us all three, doing the college route and figuring out you don't need college. We all know that. At the end of the day, it's a piece of paper that shows that you showed up and got things done on time when told to.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, look at what Garrett's doing. He's got on salary and commission now. Like, that's huge, bro. I'm proud of you for taking those exams too, because shit, dude. A couple
passing them the first time.
Exams. Let's go, bro. That's huge.
Yeah, it was definitely challenging, but we got it done. And yeah, I mean, every path, like you said, everybody's path is different. I'm still trying to get my degree, don't get me wrong, but I think if school's not for you, there's so many avenues you can go. I mean, the trades, oh my God, you can make so much money in trades, entrepreneurship, I mean, insurance. There's so many paths you can take to really set yourself up nicely. So it's not like a linear, I feel like we were so like, okay, you need to go to high school, get your diploma, go to college, then you got to figure out what you want to do, like what career path you want to choose. It's like, it's a lot to ask of an 18-year-old kid, like, so, it's a lot of just learning along the way and figuring out what your strengths are, what, really inspires you. Like, for me, it's like I'm a people person. I love helping people. And so that I kind of leaned into that, and just found something that worked for me that I was good at and just went from there. So it's like, I'm not going to tell my kids, hey, you need to go to school. It's like, okay, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, obviously you got to go to school, right? But if you just want to like make money and you want to make a life for yourself, I'm going to say, hey, you do not have to go to school. If you're smart and you work hard, and you're good to people, you'll find your way eventually. But you don't have to, it's not like a linear, you have to go to school.
I agree with that, dude. I think that was a big disservice, like that kind of came up through our generation, where everybody was thinking that every student needed to go to college to have a good life, and then it inflated the amount of people going to college, which inflated the cost of college, which then deflated the value of a degree because more people have degrees. And then you get all these people now who come out of school with tremendous amounts of debt, and there's not enough jobs to suffice, all these HR degrees. How many HR departments? How many people with HR degrees do you really need?
Yeah.
Or art degrees, or all these things that you don't need to go to school for. I think, like, obviously you want to go to school, but keep in mind, like, it costs money, it's a gamble, and there's so many other opportunities to be successful in life outside of that degree. And I think that you do children a disservice when you preach that this is the only thing to do.
Yeah, 100.
Okay.
I have one last segment before we get to the closing segment, and I think this is going to bring us all back to a point that we were in a great life 2 years ago, and it's been a while, but I think it's time for a heart-to-heart.
I like it.
So, I want to know what's been on your guys' hearts lately. It doesn't have to be, work-related, relationship-related. Just, everybody got a good idea where we're at, morally, but just, on your day-to-day, like, what have you been feeling?
For me, I'm making this big jump in my career, switching career lanes, not within the private aviation realm. And finally, I'm getting a townhome. So just coming with the more expenses, I know everything's going to work out, but just with knowing, like, hopefully I'm not paying too much. I'm not giving out too much money that I can afford, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, for me, the same old with me, just working on a day-to-day basis, hitting the gym. I actually just started reading the Bible, just kind of trying to build my faith here a little bit, and just kind of leaning into that. I was kind of in like a little bit of a rut recently. Like, I was just going through the motions. Like, obviously I was showing up every day doing what I need to do, but just felt like I was going through the motions, and just like I was like, dang, like I just feel like I'm just chugging along day in, day out. And so I just kind of started leaning into that Bible, man, and it's it's given me some faith throughout the hard times a little bit. So that's what I got going on. Yep,
that's awesome. For me, kind of similar to Elijah, I'm just kind of finished my master's, and I've been looking at a couple different career opportunities at other audit firms and other places, and I've been looking to maybe relocate out of state to be with my girlfriend. So that's been an interesting turn of events. And then honestly, I just like to think about life, dude. Like, honestly, I've been thinking a lot about the human brain, and I can't get off of it, man. It's scary. But no, that's about it, though. Just working and just trying to be a better human being.
Yeah, my heart-to-heart definitely ties in a little bit of what we were talking about earlier. I just feel like I'm at a position right now where I've made a lot of pivots recently in the last couple months, and I'm doing a lot of different things, and I feel like I'm doing everything as best as I can. Like, with you, Garrett, I also just went through like a 2-month-long program where I was training the whole time. It was like I was going back to school. I wasn't really focused on work at the time. I was just trying to get the things done I needed to get done. Now I'm here, past the training. I'm doing what I have to do for work. I'm doing what I have to do for the pod. I'm doing what I have to do for every other aspect. But somehow I still feel so behind. And that's the thing. It's like, is that just me being consciously aware, or is that just me being too hard on myself? Because at the end of the day, I know I'm doing everything in my damn power to get to where I want to get. And I'm putting all the steps necessary. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to, I run out of hours in the day, and I feel like I just didn't get enough done. And I'm just like, you get older and you feel like days used to be so long, and now days are so quick, bro. Like I
Yeah.
wake up, I go to bed,
Right.
and it's like, what happened in between? It's like I just did a million
Yep.
different things, but then before you go to bed, you're still thinking about the things you didn't do or the things that you
Yeah.
have to do tomorrow, and it's just like it's a nonstop revolving door because it's like you want a big
Yep.
full plate to eat good, right? But then it's like sometimes it's a lot, and you know.
Welcome
Cameras
to
off.
young adult. Welcome to the
Shit,
young
cameras off,
adulthood.
bro. We're out here. We're fucking thugging it
Absolutely.
out. So I just feel like I have to get better at, you know, realizing that the work that I've put in is good. I've been doing it. It's not like I'm gonna, you know, slow down because I could appreciate it. You can appreciate what you've done while also striving for more. And I think I need to especially learn how to do that because I'm so hard on myself. I'm my biggest critic, just like you, Hunter. And it's like I constantly look at myself and I'm like, you didn't go 110%, so did you really do it? And it's like, bro, give it a break. It's like I'm doing it everything in my fucking possible power to get things done. It's like, sorry that there's not a million hours in a day. So forgive yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself to the point where you get to a point of, you know, resentment towards yourself where you start like having bad thoughts where you feel like you're not doing it when in reality your schedule's full, you're doing the things you need to do. You know, timing is a thing. You got to wait sometimes for things. You're not just going to have everything overnight. You're not just going to be able to snap your fingers and all the things you want and dream for are just going to be there. No, you're going to have to go through the ringer to get them. That makes you enjoy them more. Just self-forgiveness is what I'm working on and trying to get to that point of just being easier on myself. I get it. It's hustle time. It's grind time. It's time to go. It's time to do all that like we talked, but you got to slow down and at least appreciate your life while it's going on around you too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sure. What?
Well, guys, listen, it's been a fucking pleasure to have you guys sticking around this long. If you stuck around to the end of this one, you just witnessed some great content. And I know that you're going to go ahead and leave a nice like, a comment, subscribe, and share it with your friends because you loved it, right? So, you know, but in all seriousness, man, Garrett, we really appreciate you for coming out today, man. Let's give him a quick round of applause because, dude, your story is awesome. I knew you were going to be the perfect one of our external brothers to get on this show.
Yeah.
The boys, if you're watching this right now and you see Big G Reed on, just know he always been that, and he always
Been
gonna be
that.
If you want you to be on the next appearance, be more like G Reed, man. That dude got his shit together. Look at him. You can't see him right now, but look on his Instagram. He looks like a Greek god, bro. And he got a girlfriend and he got a nice job, bro. Shout out to Garrett, bro. Be more like Garrett in life. Everybody loves Garrett.
Hey,
So,
hey, I love you,
boys.
boys. Appreciate you guys having me on. It was an absolute pleasure, and you know, this was great, and I love what you guys got going on here. You're doing a lot of good, so I'm happy to be a small part of it.
Yeah.
Elijah, Hunter, any last words before?
Thanks for sticking around, boys.
Yeah, you said it.
Hey,
You said
In all
it.
seriousness, if you actually stuck around this long, I don't have high hopes. Hey, like, comment, subscribe, share, just do anything. We're doing a giveaway soon. I promise. We are, Garrett. So
Yeah.
get ready for the giveaway because it's
Yeah.
coming. This has been 404 Fear Not Found podcast. We're signing off for you. We appreciate you sticking around and tuning in this week. Man, don't play yourself. Start paying yourself. Let's go.
You did.
Let's go.